Hi, welcome to the Gastroenteritis Blues. My name is Steve Littman, joined as always by the great Drew Peltzman and not Dan Popone. He is fast asleep, but also I'm joined by Emily Cannell. Emily, I ask you, do you care about the royal family and what is going on with them right now?
Do I ever? Let me
You
tell
do.
you.
Tell me what's going on.
My copy of Spare came in the mail today. I was pumped. You can see it on my Instagram story.
Okay.
I read it through most of the third and fourth quarter. And
right.
so,
Talk
yeah.
Are you, because there's, at first, Harry is his name, was saying a lot of things, and people were like, good for him, the royal family is bad. But then he's saturating the market in such a way that everybody's like, get off my television, stop doing so many talk shows, shut the fuck up, I've had enough of you. Where do you land? Now, well, you bought the book, so you can't get enough of this stuff. So what's going on? And why won't he shut up?
Because I didn't watch any of the interviews because I wanted to get all of my bombshell information from the book. Like, I did not want to ruin this book for myself by watching all of these interviews.
Okay.
So I haven't been overly saturated from like the television market. So I'm very excited to get to the juicy stuff in the book.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's just doing a lot because he's on a press tour for this book that's like, gonna be a bestseller.
But he's the one with Meghan Markle, right?
Yes.
And then there's the bald one.
Will.
And then there's the old rapey one.
There's only two brothers. There's the dad.
No. I mean the dad. And
the king. He's the king now.
Oh, right. Because what's her name died.
Yeah, which is weird because now their national anthem is God Save the King, and it's very weird.
Strange. Have you always been into them?
Yeah. Like, I watched the royal wedding. Like, I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning when I was in college to watch it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, and Kate Middleton. Where does she land in all this?
I don't
know. Do people like her still, or
she's
with the mean brother?
She's with the mean brother, and she, kind of buys into the royal thing, but also he's the king. He's not the spare, he's going to be the king. So you kind of have to.
Because when that old mean fuck dies.
Yeah. Will is the king.
Bald guy is going to be the king.
Yes.
Not this guy who's defaming everybody on the talk shows.
He's just living in LA with Meghan Markle. Right.
Oh, man. What's going to happen? So what does he want to do?
I don't know. They've got like some production company. They got a podcast on Spotify. They got the Netflix show.
Everybody's got a fucking podcast. How about you cool?
I mean, we have a podcast on Spotify too.
Nobody calls us Prince and Princess.
The royal family wasn't prepared for a podcast and new media format in their whole entire history.
Apparently not. Do people still have to call him Prince Will? Or has he denounced that title?
Well, I don't know. There was a whole thing about when they left that they were denouncing their titles, but the book says it's like Spare Prince Harry. Like, it's written by Prince Harry. So I guess he's still a prince. But I don't know if Meghan is a duchess still. I'm not entirely clear on how that works.
I truly know nothing about it, but everybody seems annoyed at everybody, and it seems, I don't know, good for everyone for enjoying it. I don't know. I don't have a take. Drew, any thoughts on this?
Not really. Just I feel like it's always interesting that in America specifically, the royal family and the Kardashians can never be too far away from each other in popularity at any given time. So I think that's a theory. I don't know what it means, what grand scheme it is, but they're never too far apart in American culture.
It's true. Well, on to the Sixers. We just watched the Sixers lose a stupid, dumb game to the Oklahoma City Thunder. How much do we have to talk about it? It was stupid. They really couldn't get a stop. They fouled them constantly. Joel got sort of in foul trouble, but Doc really fouled out Joel more than anybody because he took him out for most of the third quarter, and the Sixers gave up 1,000,000 points to the Thunder in that quarter, and they let up a horrible run that was like sort of game defining. The Thunder obviously couldn't guard Joel, especially down the stretch, but the Sixers could never get enough stops, especially on SGA. We can just start with this game. It sucked and it was a dumb loss. And I knew, when we picked this week, I really should have picked a loss because whenever we have to record immediately after a game, they lose no matter who they play. But Emily, what did you think of this game other than that it sucked?
Yeah, it was just a really annoying game, especially because they were down 10 plus points at least 2 times and then came back to tie the game, and then they never could actually make a run to win the game, and that I found to be annoying because they're clearly a better team.
Yeah. And we'll talk about it, but this loss, I guess, would have been more palatable if they didn't lose to Chicago earlier in the week, but they did. And, Joel didn't play in that Chicago game, but it makes it sort of a couple of
James Harden had 7 turnovers tonight.
I guess I didn't feel that in the game because a few of them were dead ball, but that is a high number and bad. He made some threes, which I think made his game feel better than it did. And he had his usual maybe 12 assists or something. 15 assists.
So yeah, he was three turnovers away from a points, assist, turnover, triple double.
There you go.
Trifecta.
Yeah, so his threes were going in, but yeah, too many turnovers. Down the stretch, Maxey had I think a decent game. His shot from deep wasn't super going in, but down the stretch, Embiid just was doing whatever he wanted on Muscala and when they set those doubles. And down the stretch, they kicked it to Maxey early in the shot clock, and he took this really deep 3 that wasn't even close. And I thought it was a terrible shot. And I don't know, he was just trying to really gain some momentum, I think. And I think they were down 8 and that would have made it 5 or something like that. But it felt like they just needed to keep ducking it into Embiid to either have him get fouled or kick it out to somebody. And it was just a really, not really like Maxey, and sort of, it seems like he's still working his way back into a rhythm. And sometimes he gets super hot, but sometimes he has nights like this where it's a bit up and down. So, the speed is obviously still there, but the shot, I think, is still a bit of a work in progress. What did you think from him?
In terms of Maxey, I think he's been pretty good since he came back from his injury. So I'm tempted to just pull a Doc Rivers and be like, I don't care about this game. It is what it is. It never really happened. But I am glad that I was really worried that Tobias actually was hurt when he went down. Yeah. And I was like, this is not good. He's been playing so well. We need him. And so I was very happy that he came back into the game, and it just seemed to be kind of a bumping knee situation versus a legitimate injury.
Here's a question. Did PJ Tucker play today? Did he play?
I didn't see him much.
Does anybody know? Is there a way to tell? He started, I think. And then I think they got him out of there. I don't know. Doc went to the 3-guard lineup down the stretch. It has felt to me like Melton has struggled to make as much of an impact since he's gone back to the bench. And obviously that's simplistic because he's getting fewer minutes, but I think his shot has been going in less. And I think it's just a bit of an adjustment, and I think they're still kind of figuring out their best lineup. But
according to the internet, he played for 21 minutes of this.
You're
game.
shitting me.
He took 1 shot and he missed it.
And he had 2 rebounds.
That's shocking. Well,
Melton played more minutes than him off the bench. So maybe we just do a little bit of a.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, also this week, the Sixers played Detroit twice. Detroit is absolutely horrendous. I mean, Kate Cunningham is out for the year and played only a few games this year, but they're awful. I'm happy to see New Orleans whenever we play them, which I think we play them 30 during the season, but which is great for the Sixers. But they're horrendous. The Sixers beat them by like 35. And Jaden Springer played and went off, which is I think a good indication for the kind of team Detroit has.
And Joel had 30 points in about 7 minutes, I think,
right.
was the official tally on that.
I think one of them, I think Jaden Springer was even saying that at halftime or before the game, like Embiid and Harden were being like, "We're gonna get you in this game." Like, do Emily or Drew, do you guys want to go on a monologue about the Detroit games, or how do you feel?
I'll just say that it is fun when they kind of blow a team out like that, because you get the Jaden Springer minutes, you get the Paul Reed post game interviews, you get the things that you don't normally get in a regular game. So it's fun to see those guys. I think Korkmaz might have played in that game. I haven't seen him in a while. So those things are it's just fun, you get, yeah, and I'm happy to see them getting some time when they can. There's no need for Joel to be playing in games like that. He was actually in that game for like way longer than he should have been.
Yeah, the stupid OKC game tonight. Part of the bummer of it is that the Nets lost and the Bucks lost. So like the Sixers lose to a bad OKC team and forfeit the opportunity to make up ground on those teams when they really should have just kind of played better defense, stopped fouling, and done that, so that sucks, and they don't make up ground. Speaking of the Nets and the Celtics, Jaylen Brown has an adductor. Hey, where's your adductor? What's that?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
It is. Well, is it in his leg?
I don't know. Listen, I'm going to you on this.
I guess it's your leg. I guess it's a different muscle that adducts your arm.
I thought it was in his stomach.
Those are abs, not
Abductor. All right. Anyway, so that's all.
It's a muscle that like brings your leg towards your body.
Anyway, he got that all fucked up. So he's out for a week or two. Jaylen Brown, on the Celtics, and Kevin Durant has an MCL strain, and he's going to be out for, they think, about a month or so, something like that, leaving the Nets to Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving. So we'll see what happens there. It is an opportunity for the Sixers to climb the standings a bit. Obviously, we send only well wishes to those fellas. How do you think this will impact the Eastern Conference standings? I say this, of course, 10 minutes after the Sixers lose to the Oklahoma City Thunder. What do you think?
I mean, I definitely think that KD going out for the Nets is a huge loss. He's the best player in the NBA potentially, and I don't think that team is very good otherwise. So I think that's like a big hit to them. The Celtics still have Jason Tatum, who's like playing on another level, but I mean, it definitely hurts to lose Jaylen. But I think that, the Nets are definitely taking the bigger hit there.
Yeah. Drew, any thoughts here on those injuries here?
Just on KD, if it's a month, it'll just be like right up to the All-Star game. So a lot of people are saying that might be the first game back. You have the like Tatum, Embiid, KD, and Giannis crammed in the top 4 voting. If KD's hurt, then you won't have to worry about the other 3, one of them not starting, because then all 3 of them will be starting, whatever. So I think it'll be better for the league if KD just doesn't play in the All-Star game. And I don't think the Nets will let him.
Yeah, you would think that if he's returning from a long injury, they would just forego the All-Star game thing and just give him an even longer layoff to heal up and just return after that big break. If that's how it lines up. If he can play before that, then I think they would just have him play before that. But yeah, it's a good point. everybody else or lots of other people have been saying that, the starters for the East in the All-Star game should be Donovan Mitchell, Tatum, Giannis, Durant, and Embiid. But positionally, like, I think the rules are such that Tatum is only a forward or whatever. And I think Bontemps had said, Embiid has a better case than Tatum if you're not like being picky about games played, because he has more like points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, everything. Whatever, man.
Basketball skills.
Basketball stuff. What can you do? All right. We're going to go to a break and we'll be back. And we're going to talk more about the All-Star break. And we're going to talk about the Eagles. And we're going to do a little game. And we love you. Here's a break. Okay. So recently there's been a Drew, I'm going to throw to you and talk about James Harden's stats. I want James Harden's season stats. There's been some chatter about whether or not James Harden deserves to be an all-star. Now, Harden is a polarizing player because pretty much everyone hates him. Sixers fans, I think, are sort of 50-50 on him because he's a strange guy and, isn't who he used to be. And he did replace Simmons, but doesn't play much defense, and Miami, all of that. But is still extremely effective on the court. And as Drew will tell us, statistically is having an excellent season. He missed some time this year, etc. But the media, especially I think traditional media, does not like him at all for the trade requests, for the ISO ball, for all of that stuff. So I think if there's any chance to not give him the benefit of the doubt, they won't. And Bill Simmons and Zach Lowe were recently talking about him and essentially just like disqualified him from their 12-man All-Star teams in the East. And we're like, Tyrese Halliburton, absolutely. Jalen Brunson, absolutely. And like Harden's numbers are just better than those guys. And the Sixers are better than both of those teams. So, it's just funny to hear the way that the discourse is when Harden is better than those guys and Halliburton doesn't play defense either. So, Drew, what are his stats this year?
So the biggest thing that stands out is his assist numbers. Obviously, he's taking a much larger playmaking role. It's the second highest mark in his career. If the season ended today, he's at 11.0. I mean, just from a quick glance, he had 11.2 in 2016, 2017. It's pretty close. It's pretty good. And he's started in the All-Star game like the past, 7 years, 8 years. If you're only looking at the scoring numbers, obviously, you'll see them drop a little bit, but he's scoring 0.8 more points a game this year over last year. And he's shooting the ball still extremely well all over the place. I think I wasn't able that quickly to get up everyone else like Halliburton's numbers and stuff, but
no, that's fine. Yeah.
It looks
but he's at what, like 22 points? Is that it?
Yeah, he's at 21.8, right about 22. I think if you're looking at the past and you're seeing him start in the All-Star game year after year, there's no reason he shouldn't. If you're going to force another guard in there, I don't know if you're going to do it with Halliburton, but from my point of view, I could see why voters would do that just to see a new face. I think it's fine.
Totally. No, yeah, I don't think it's Harden over Halliburton. I think both of those guys deserve spots. I just think that people talk about Halliburton having a head and shoulders above Harden case when I think they're very similar. And both of them deserve all-star nods on a 12-man roster. I think both of them deserve bench spots in the all-star team. If they just want to talk about Harden missed a month of the season and it's a games played thing, then okay. I mean, then I would just honestly want to see the games played next to everybody else's games missed, because I think that lots of guys, especially this season, are missing games. But Emily,
And
what are your thoughts on?
Halliburton's out now.
Yeah, Halliburton's out now for a few weeks. What are your thoughts on Harden's All-Star case?
Yeah, I think his numbers are like not that far off from what they have been, but I mean, they released the voting the other day and he's third for Eastern Conference guards.
Right.
So the fan vote's 50%, player 25 and media 25. Like, even if the media hates him, I don't think that that's like enough power to like get him off the roster when the fans voted him in third, because in all, the NBA wants to make money on the All-Star game, and the way they're going to do that is putting the players in the game that the fans voted for. So they're not just going to like say fuck James Harden because Bill Simmons doesn't like him. So I think he'll make the team.
But that's only for the starters, right? Like, I don't think fan votes has anything to do with reserves, because the coaches pick the reserves, right?
I'm pretty sure that's how it is.
Yeah.
But I think it's the same thing. Like, I mean, they pick them, but they're not just going to like pick people that they didn't like, fans didn't want. Like, it's the money making operation. This whole
right. That's right. That's true. Well, yeah, I mean, I think, and I'm not even like super Harden guy, but I just think that he has, when he's been on the court, he has played super effectively and like fit in with the team, and he's shooting catch and shoot threes. His stuff with Embiid's been good. So yeah, I really don't, it's obviously a wait and see for the playoffs, but I don't have complaints, and I think that he's for sure a deserving All-Star this year. So yeah. All right, Drew has a little game for us before we get to the latter stages of the podcast. So Drew, take it away.
I was going to say, since this was such a heartbreaking loss against such a young team, I was going to see how it scales up to some of the other awful losses of the season. I just looked back at the whole entire schedule, and there were two that really stood out, at least to me. I wanted to get your guys' take on it, just see out of the three, including this game. The first one was the third game of the season. They played San Antonio at home and lost 114-105. Then the second game in question is Monday, December 5th at Houston, the double overtime loss. That was the game before the win streak. I think it was the 8-game win streak. And then today against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Which of those three, like, how would you rank those three losses in terms of number one being the most difficult to stomach?
So for me, the worst one was the Houston one. I fucking hated that game and was like, that was my low point of the season so far. And I'm sure a lower one is right around the corner. But that was a terrible game. Harden was especially disinterested and terrible in that game. And I think Joel was also bad in it, but I'm actually not sure. That was terrible. They were turning it over. They were like fucking around. I think they coughed up a lead to even get to overtime, and then they just wouldn't let me go to sleep. And it was terrible. I hated it. I hated it so much. And I remember like, I think I texted my friend after that, and I was like, I think we're fucked. I think it's over. Like, I just think it's over.
Embiid had 39 that game.
Yeah, he sucked in that game. Yeah, I hated that game. It was terrible. And it was just the vibes were awful. Yeah, that's my answer. Emily, do you have one of those three, or was there anything else?
I'm gonna say so I also hated the Houston game, but also if they went into double overtime, that means that someone was trying. It wasn't the people that we wanted to be trying, but it meant that someone was trying. And so I want to give those people the benefit of the doubt, and I won't pick that one. I'm going to pick the San Antonio game just because they started the season so bad. And then we were like, this game is a surefire win. Like, this is the kickoff game. Like, the Spurs are not good. And they were like, fuck you guys. We are still not good. And we're going to lose to this shit team too. So, and then that was like, are we 3 games in? And like, everyone's saying the Sixers are, you know, in for a deep playoff push. And we all just look like fools 3 games in. So I'm going to say that game. But this game also sucked. And like you said, I'm sure there's plenty more to come.
And do you remember coming into the season, we were like, listen, vibes are great. The roster looks good. Drama-free offseason, except for Doc watching porn on Twitter. It's, listen, everything seems on the up and up. Let's do it. And then they were like, no, we lose every game.
We all picked 3 wins to start the season. Win. We were like, yep, let's go. We're rolling. And it was like, nope.
All right. The Eagles locked in the number 1 seed with a sort of uninspiring win over the Skeleton Crew Giants. Got out of there healthy, mostly. Just need to rest up. How do you feel going into the playoffs? This is obviously a bye week, so we don't need to predict any, Eagles game because we don't know who they're going to play. But how do you feel going into the playoffs?
I feel a little bit better than I did going into the Giants game. I felt some good vibes from them, like back on their whatever they were rolling before. I still don't think the vibes are quite right for like a Super Bowl run, but I think that there's potential to get there. So I'm feeling like, I guess if we're putting a percentage on it, I'm feeling like 72% optimistic.
Yeah, I think that if Jalen can get right, and because they didn't run with him at all in the Giants game, like it's very clear that they were being ultra careful with him. They just wanted to get out of there with a win, and they were done fucking around with Minshew.
I really hope Lane Johnson can come back.
That's the other thing. If Lane can play and be effective, then I think they can do everything. I'm not really, the Niners are really good, and we wouldn't have to see them until the, conference championship. So,
but also this Purdy fellow has got to drop off at some point. Like, who is he? Where did he come from? He's got him. This cannot be a thing.
Who is he?
It's not Nick Foles, rookie, for God's sake.
I don't know, but yeah, you would think that they would be able to make him beat them. But they've also just got a ton of talent on both sides of that team, so they would be a tall task. But we'll see what happens. Do you think the Cowboys or the Bucks are going to win that
game? I don't know. I don't think the Cowboys are very good. I don't really think the Bucks are that good either. So
that's how I feel with the Giants and Viking team too.
Yeah, I don't
like any of those teams.
No. But they're also all teams that the Eagles can lose to. Then I'll be like, they have lost to a worse team, and that's annoying.
I don't think the Eagles are losing those teams. No, I think they're gonna get through those teams. All right. What are the standings? I think we all went 2-2, right?
Yeah, we all went 2-2 because we were really feeling this week. So no like change in standings. I'm at 23 and 18, and you guys are both at 19 and 22.
Great. West Coast swing this week. You're shitting me. We've got a Thursday 10 o'clock coming up, which means we will not be with you next Thursday. Not happening. We're not doing a 2 a.m. podcast. Somebody
I'll also
else
be in
will
Chicago, so that's not happening.
I'll do a solo pod at 2 a.m.
No, I think what's its name does something.
I'll be 1 hour earlier. I'll be in Chicago, so
you'll do it then.
1 a.m. for me. It's fine.
There you go. All right, West Coast swing. This week they go on the road. Everything's on the road, so I'm not going to say anything about being on the road. Jazz, Lakers, back-to-back. Jazz, Lakers, Clippers, and then what's this logo?
Portland.
Jazz, Lakers, Clippers, Portland. Tough week. What say you? Oh, and just so you know, Dan has bequeathed his choosing power onto Drew. So I'd actually like to give this to Drew first. Drew choosing for Dan.
Can you repeat the 4 games for me one
I
more
would
time,
love to.
please?
Jazz, Lakers, Clippers, Portland.
I think they'll beat the Jazz. It'll be ugly. They'll beat the Lakers, then lose to the Clippers, then lose to the Trailblazers. I think they're going to go 2-2. I think they're going to get exhausted at the end of this road trip.
Emily?
Are you looking for me?
I am
I'm
looking
gonna
for you.
go. They beat the Jazz, beat the Lakers, lose to the Clippers, beat Portland. So 3-1.
I'm going to go beat the Jazz, lose to the Lakers. It's a back-to-back. Lose to the Clippers, beat Portland.
Okay.
All right.
There'll be some
That's
movement in the standings next week. We'll tell you
Exactly.
in 3 weeks what they are.
Yeah, exactly. Got this. That's it. Good stuff. Was this even a podcast? Nobody knows. Great talking again. Emily, Drew, good times.
Great.
We
Time.
love you. Good luck to Prince Harry.
I'll let
Enjoy
you know
the
how
book.
it goes.
Please.
I'll be done by next time we podcast. I'll give you
I'm
the
sure you
full
will. I'm sure you will. DA Peltz 13, Third and Girl, Gastro Blues Pod, Steve J. Lippman, the Gastro Blues Show on YouTube, and be safe and be great.
Oh, yeah, baby, I love